Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verl here and decided to use Bouffalant. So recently I already mentioned that there's a lot of slow Pokemon with high amounts of bulk and a good amount of offense that are in the 5th generation that we've been reviewing, so it's pretty much the same thing over and over. We're going to have 95 on the hit points, 95 on defense, 95 on the special defense, so we actually get to have a good amount of defenses and some tankiness overall, then 110 on the attack, but only 55 on the speed. So just generic. We take a hit, we try to dish a harder hit back, and maybe we try to speed boost into it and get the most out of it. Yay, that's how to use Bouffalant. So when we look at its typing, it's going to be a pure normal type Pokemon, so this is also pretty standard. We don't resist anything, we have that immunity to Ghost, we're only weak against fighting, and then a ton of neutral hits. So that's Bouffalant. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown. Things are really interesting with Bouffalant because we don't have an overwhelming attack. 110, I call that good. I call that about average when we're looking at like a sweeping standpoint. So once we get into like the 120s, 130s, or even higher, that's when a Pokemon starts busting out huge amounts of damage. 110 might not sound like that big of a difference, but you know it is the difference between a one-hit KO or not. However, Bouffalant, it has very high base damage moves. So I was thinking we just play it as a high base damage beater and try to just tip ourselves over into that little bit more of damage, but mostly it's going to be off of the head charge. Head charge 120 base stab power, has a quarter recoil, so now it makes sense. Like kind of like what we saw with Emboar. This Pokemon has a high amount of hit points because it's going to be using head charge, so it needs to survive the recoil and also survive an opponent's attack, which works out into Bouffalant pretty well. So we use the head charge, and then that's going to be tons of stab damage. We also get the reckless ability. Pokemon's attacks with recoil have 20% more power. So we're going to gain damage, and then stab, and then hopefully try to do as much to an opponent as possible. We also get Superpower. Superpower is going to hit normal type Pokemon for a lot of damage because 120 base power, super, yeah. Bye-bye Kangaskhan, bye-bye Pokemon that are going to be weak against that. Outrage, just coverage, you know, we get to hit Dragon type Pokemon. We have high amounts of base power, like we can Outrage into this to knock out a Dragon type Pokemon. Like they might not expect it. Who's going to expect an Outrage on a Bouffalant? Boom, you just knock him down really quick, and then you can get some damage on the next Pokemon and just see how it plays out. Then we have Earthquake. Earthquake coverage is good. We just use it and it's decent amounts of base power, and that's going to be the play right there. So as for the stats, pretty generic. We're going to max out our attack and max out our speed with a Choice Scarf in this situation. I want Bouffalant to be more in a sweeper position, that it needs to outspeed everything that it can, and then that's where it's going to find a lot of power. Big problem though, 55 base speed. But it's not really tanky enough because it's doing recoil. Like if it's recoiling itself after taking a hit, it might 1-for-1, so we need to find those outspeeds. So setting up Bouffalant with a agility, like if we can do agility baton pass, then that means we get to run the life orb, and then we really get to dumpster some fools. But if we're not doing that, sticky web works just as well, or we just have a better sweeper Pokemon, that we have Bouffalant as a backup sweeper, that we use a super fast glass Pokemon to knock down all of the opponent's sweeper Pokemon, and then anything that's slower than Bouffalant is now going to be in this really bad position. Have a couple of tanks to back up Bouffalant as well. You know, if Head Charge or Superpower, these things aren't really scoring those KOs, you know, Head Charge, soften them up, take a little bit of damage, switch out, go into your tank, have your tank finish them off, soften up that Pokemon with the tank again, and then once that tank goes down, Bouffalant comes in and tries to resume the sweep. But once you get those workarounds, you know, it can 100-0 an opponent pretty well, and that's going to be the Bouffalant. Other than that, we get Mega Horn, we get Stone Edge, we can go Choice Band. So if we want to play that tanky game, then we can run the Choice Band. So if we're agility passing or getting some kind of stats into it, we want the Life Orb. That way we don't squander it by getting stuck into a Head Charge and they bring in a Ghost type Pokemon. That would be pretty bad. However, if we have the Choice Band, then we're just understanding, alright, we take a hit, we one-hit KO them with a Head Charge, Mega Horn, or Stone Edge, and again, we're playing with the very high amounts of base damage right here. Stone Edge, 100, 80% accuracy, 120, 85% accuracy. So it's not going to be that insane, but against super effective hits, it kind of doesn't matter, and it can be worth it. Stone Edge versus the Rock Slide is interesting too, because Rock Slide is mostly just going to be for knocking out Talonflame, knocking out Charizard, and if we have the Stone Edge, only a super effective hit is going to really keep up with the Head Charge, because Head Charge, remember, that's going to be getting Stab and Reckless, so even a super effective Stone Edge isn't going to matter as much as a Head Charge, which is why Earthquake is so good. Earthquake means if they have a Rock type Pokemon or Steel type Pokemon, and we don't need the superpower to knock them out, we just throw out the Earthquake, and then Head Charge would have been resisted anyways, so we're finding more damage. Just remember guys, because it's a super effective hit, depending on the base damages of the other moves you're using, it might not be the most powerful move that you have in your arsenal, so there are some specific plays that you can make with the Bouffalant. So there is specific play that you have to have with the Bouffalant. On that, you can throw in another coverage move here, and that's going to pretty much just be Bouffalant being used. Now, it does have the Sap Sipper ability. So let's talk about Sap Sipper in doubles. Sap Sipper in doubles, really interesting because there's Pokemon that have Petal Blizzard. Unfortunately, not a lot. We need more Petal Blizzard Pokemon, Game Freak. Makes Sap Sipper a super viable option. So, I mean, we can throw it next to Venusaur, but Venusaur isn't like an incredible offensive Pokemon. The idea behind Petal Blizzard is it hits all Pokemon on the field in double battles. So it's going to hit you and give you a Petal Blizzard boost, and it's also going to hit your opponents and do good amounts of damage to them because it's an alright move. 90 base power, getting stabbed for all of these except for Florges, and then you can try to find a way to work around with that. But again, not a lot of high amounts of speed right here, not high amounts of offenses, so it's not going to be absurd, but it is going to set up your Petal Blizzard. But I was also looking, we have Whimsicott right here. Whimsicott is really good because it sets up the Tailwind, and then it also has the Prankster, so it can like Prankster something new, like it carries Leech Seed, so I mean it can Leech Seed you. That's going to activate your Sap Sipper. So first turn Protect, set up the Tailwind. This is where we see 55 base speed, we put enough into it to where we're going to be faster than the opponent, we get a good amount of hit point investment, and then we max out our attack, and we just call it a day with that Adamant Nature. So with this, now we're going to be coming in +1 with the doubled speed under Tailwind, and then we can throw out Rock Slide for either really good amounts of split damage. We can have Whimsicott. This might be a situation. Where we could actually run offensive Whimsicott. I'm not a huge fan of it, but, you know, if we're having the Tailwind, we're outspeeding everything anyways. Maybe just carry, like, the Taunt and then a Dazzling Gleam, so we're going to be able to splitting up, like, stab damage on both opponents. Might be something that's pretty decent, so Dazzling Gleam, or we can also just go with the Moonblast, just single targeting out those Pokemon, so Moonblast, a little bit of extra damage on top of whatever Bouffalant can't do, Earthquake, Head Charge, Rock Slide, or we just go with that Head Charge. Head Charge means we're going to be able to just break them down, have Whimsicott do a little bit of damage, switch it up, so then Head Charge the other Pokemon, Moonblast, double finish. Now, unfortunately, Focus Sash doesn't work here because Head Charge is going to give us recoil, so it breaks our own Sash, which isn't that great of an idea. Lumberry, there's a lot of interesting status around. Maybe it's Citrus Berry. That way, you know, if you like take a hit and then you Head Charge yourself into that Citrus range and then you heal up a bit more, might work out. The items really are kind of difficult on the Bouffalant in this case. Also, remember, you don't need a Whimsicott. Any kind of Tailwind Pokemon can make you powerful. Anything with a Grass-type move that you can throw onto yourself works out. Aromatherapy is pretty hilarious as well because it actually activates Sap Sipper, but it negates the effects of Aromatherapy. So you're not going to be able to heal status with it, but you can boost stats while healing status off yourself. So things to consider, and that's pretty much just going to be Bouffalant. You try to boost it damage, you try to pair it with a Pokemon like Activate Sap Sipper, or in single battles, you can have Sap Sipper on the singles, you just need to make sure you come in onto that Grass type move, then you're doing more damage. Would you rather have 20% on just Head Charge, or would you have 50% on everything? So you are locking yourself in, but you are getting the damage. If you are getting the outspeed, you can just sweep with something, and that's kind of how you're going to use Bouffalant. So if you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.